Before we dive into this episode, I just want to let you know, if you want to get access to episodes before anybody else, head on over to patreon.com/concerts that made us. And as a bonus, you'll get access to videos of some of the episodes and a host of other benefits. We've also teamed up with Band Builder Academy to offer you 10% off their membership. Details of both can be found in the show notes below.
Is everybody in? Is everybody in? The show is about to begin.
Welcome to the podcast, Concerts That Made Us. Interviews and stories, tales from the bus. We love taking you back to when it all went down. The greatest live shows and the cheering crowd sound. It's concerts, concerts that made us, concertsthatmadeus.com.
Hey, this is David from Bleed the Sky, and you're listening to Concerts That Made Us.
Children
David, you're very welcome to Concerts That Made Us.
Glad to be here.
It's great to have you now. I'm looking forward to getting some insights into your music. So we opened the episode with The Parasite, which you released on the 21st of February. Would you like to tell us a bit about it?
Sure, yeah. Song Parasite's going awesome for us. I mean, little background of the song. It was at a perfect. We just brought on Monte, our new vocalist. It's his first track that we've put out with him. The guys and I had kind of had that song, a skeleton of it as to what it looks like right now, kind of put together before he joined the band. But bringing Monte in, we brought his, his influence and his ideas and thoughts as far as arrangement goes, putting the song together. And he brought the lyric content and everything, as far as that goes with him. So we made a little bit of change as far as our musical arrangement goes, but as far as the song goes, and the Parasite, basically the breakdown to it as far as his vocals and lyrics go, is that the Parasite being the thing that a lot of folks, myself included, especially with the youth today, is that we can't get that the social medias, the Twitters, all the things that we grab onto, that are those things that give us those quick dopamine fixes, and we kind of ignore what's really going on in the world, because the Parasite has totally grabbed onto all of us, being those things that we latch onto that show us that the world isn't actually falling apart under our feet. It actually is a great place to be in, because everything looks so great and pretty online, and and on these little computers that we all hold in our hands every day. So that's kind of what the background of the song is it's just as simple as that. It's literally the Parasite being that we are ourselves as humans just completely destroying the world and just being oblivious to what's actually going on in the world, because we're getting so drowned by the constant bells and whistles and rainbows that are all over the internet, showing us that the world's not actually a crazy place to live in this time.
I don't think there could be more true lyrics when you put it like that. And the track features Mark Hunter of Chimaira. How did you manage to wrangle him onto the project?
We reached out to Mark. So Austin Diamond, our drummer, was an active member of Chimaira for a few years, and he's built relationships with Mark and the other guys, Wayne Miller. Wayne's known Mark for years, and the guys had a decent relationship with those guys just for the past 20 years, being involved and we've all been Chimaira fans and all that. And then having Austin be a good friend and a bandmate with Mark Hunter didn't hurt by us reaching out and, hey man, what do you think about this track? Would it be something you're interested in? And Mark was, all about doing it, and it just came out perfect. It couldn't come out better than it came out better than we expected it to, as far as having Monte and Mark Hunter on the track,
Yeah, definitely. And the music video now is pretty cool. What was the whole process like with making that?
Eric DiCarlo, he really, really is a super talented director. He came with a good vision in mind, and a lot of the content, behind the scenes content of getting that video put together, really had a lot to do with Kevin Garcia, our guitar player, and Monte, really just having those meetings with Eric and saying, here's the vision we're going for. This is what we kind of want it to look like. And he took it from there and just, went above and beyond for us. And, the finished product is what we have now with the Parasite video, just super, super professional from the jump. Guy came in, know what we wanted, and really did his best to make sure that we got that taken care of. So
yeah. And you've mentioned Monte. Now, around the same time you released the track, you announced that he was going to be your new singer. As a band, sometimes when you lose a singer, it can be the end of the band. What was the search like trying to find a new singer, and how did you end up picking Monte?
So basically how it worked out is, we stopped working with Noah, our original vocalist, and ended up getting Rudy Flores, he's the current vocalist for So This Is Suffering, jumped on board with us, and just, personalities didn't fit out. It is what it is, man. Things happen. So we actually weren't out looking for singers. We said we released Rudy. We never put out like we're auditioning people. We just started getting an influx of people sending us tracks of either them doing covers of our songs, with like the vocals taken out or them screaming over the vocals, and just folks just sending us a whole bunch of stuff, man. And not that those folks were super talented and could have cut it and all that stuff, but what really made that happen for Monte is he had a mutual friend of ours, an agent that we shared, and basically, one thing led to another. Monte was like, he's as I was, I wasn't on the first record. I was joined in 2006, but it was the same kind of deal. You're a fan of the band, you love the music, and he kind of reached out to us through our agent, and we kind of connected with him, and he sent us some tracks of the stuff that he's done in his previous working with his bands, and he's got a good resume. He's been a professional musician for a long time. He's about our age, and just super devoted guy to what it takes to make it happen, as far as the commitment to being a professional musician at any capacity. If you're trying to make music with guys that are taking it serious, you got to be able to put in the same effort. So anyways, we got some tracks from Monte and had him work, give us a demo of, sing this, whatever track it was that we sent him. And then he sent us that. And then we sent him a basic skeleton of what was going to be, or what is the Parasite. It wasn't exactly how it is, but we sent him that, and he started sending us tracks back with his vocals over it and lyrics and how he was mapping out the song, and then really what happened, is that he was able to, he didn't come into it like he's timid or, kind of that new guy feel. Monte came into it with a very professional attitude, and knew what he could bring to the table. And that's the confidence we need in a front man, somebody that's like, okay, guys, this is all badass. It sounds cool. I love these riffs, but X, Y, and Z can be played this many times. Let's move this around over here and do this. And he just walked in as a new guy saying, okay, dudes, that you've all been working together for all these years, now we're going to mix this shit up and make it work better. You know what I mean? For and that was really, I mean, a lot of the correspondence we did with Monte was all over online. We all live all over the place. I mean, as we're all over the United States. Two of us are in California. Our other guitar player is in Florida. Monte and I are in the Oregon area, but we're still a couple hours apart. Like, none of us live close to each other, really, minus the guys that are in Cali. And so everything is done remotely for us for the most part, writing included. And so for him to be able to come into the mix and bring that to the table and that level of confidence, that level of professionalism and bring what he brought to that song, kind of helped us make that decision to move forward with him.
Yeah. And you mentioned working remotely. How do you feel about that? Do you think it holds you back, or do you think it's a bit of an advantage?
Well, I think that it's kind of a double-edged sword, because it makes it easier. Technology has made it easier for us to live across the United States and be able to share riffs through files and writing, you know what I mean? But it does take the organic feel out of being in a room with five guys and just cranking it out and leaving with your ears ringing and, everybody drenched in sweat because you're headbanging all night long writing this one song, like that feel is, we don't get to feel that until it's time to like start rehearsing and you know what I mean, getting ready for whatever we're going to be doing as far as shows goes, things like that. So yes, it's convenient, but it does take that organic feel out. Now we've been doing this for a while now, as far as writing goes, as far as getting songs together, and just like, so we've adapted, I guess you could say. But we're all old school, we do come from the days of being able to just like get into a room with your buddies and just knock out songs, so it takes a little bit longer for us because unless we're on these kind of conversations like you and I are on every single day and working back and forth, it takes the writing process takes a little bit longer. But at the end of the day, like, because we've adapted and just learned how to do it, it's not as tough as it was when we first started doing it like this. Now it does have that more organic feeling, because even though we're not in the same room, we're still able to communicate and send the files back and forth. And, it is what it is.
Yeah, true. You just have to deal with it, I suppose. But, the band has a very long history dating back to 2002. One thing I'm very interested in now is, how does this era of the band compare to the old days?
It's one thing that we've never wanted to stop doing was creating music that we loved. So this era of the band is, I mean, the with the lineup changes and the things that we've done over the years, the dynamic's a little bit different. Yes, this time around the band's a lot heavier than we were on the last 3 records, but it's just where we're at. We're all influenced. Like I grew up, you were talking earlier about your first shows and things like that, you get into that. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But like my first concert was Pantera. You know what I mean?
Man.
Like I saw Pantera when I was 16, when I was 16 years old, man, and saw chairs getting ripped out of this outdoor amphitheater and like just out of the concrete, you know what I mean? And just the place going crazy, and Dimebag and Rex getting on stage. And I was just like, I'm doing that. Like, this is what I'm gonna do. I want that. Like, and it's so, yeah, dude. I mean, so as far as today's day and age goes, and where we're at as far as that goes, getting back to your original question, all we've done is evolve. Whether it be a member change or because that's going to bring somebody's different influences into the mix or whatever. But I mean, we're proud of the first 3 records. We're proud from anything we've put out since then. The Devil Will See You Now, and our last full length. We're super proud of it. And moving forward, we're just going to take the dynamic that we have now with Monte joining the fold and see where it takes us. I mean, we have a crystal ball? Or we're going to try and keep all those original Bleed the Sky elements of the band, the hooks, the catchy riffs, you know what I mean? That makes your head, it's got to make our head bob, no matter how heavy we get. But all of us listen to heavier music now. The older we've gotten, we just listen to heavier stuff. It's not like we got older and stopped listening to metal. It's just like, the older I get, the more brutal the metal I listen to is, so just how it worked out. I just love heavy music. I just love heavy music, dude. So I'm influenced by all that. I'm influenced by the hooks from the old days and the bands that I grew up listening to, the Panteras and Sepultura and Machine Head and all those cats, and then now, going into like, Born of Osiris, Decapitated, the newer cats that are out there, there's lots of really awesome bands out there that have and just phenomenal hooks, and like the way that they grew up listening to those bands, the Chimaras and things like that, and are able to piece those riffs together and come up with new ideas. And I mean, that's what music is, man, especially for me and as a musician. I mean, where you could say, where's the band at as opposed to where it was? All it is an evolution, quite honestly, Yeah.
I love though that you guys still listen to heavy music. You're not one of these guys that gets older and switches off the usual music and starts listening to the likes of Neil Young and Bob Dylan or something.
No, man. I mean, everybody's got their thing, bro. I mean, I'll listen to, as long as it's got a good tune to it and I can bob my head to it, I'll listen to it. I'm not just like, oh, I don't want to hear it. But metal through and through is by far my favorite music and always will be. I can't help it. It's in my blood, man.
Yeah. At this stage, so we'll dive into your own journey when it comes to music. If you can now, can you remember your earliest musical memory?
Yeah. So my father was a guitar player. And my dad, my biological father, was killed in a motorcycle accident. He was hit by a drunk driver when I was a 5-year-old kid. And thank you. Appreciate it. But my dad being a guitarist, I always remembered that. I always wanted to, you see your dad and he was playing on those stages and things like that, even if it was small venues in Texas, because I grew up in Texas, I still remember being a little boy and my dad, because, my parents were divorced. I lived with my dad, my sis lived with my mom. I went to all my dad's little shows and stuff, and he was pulling me along and I'm like this little kid, like 5 years old, just like hanging out by the amps, like you stay over here, you can't go, but seeing those things and seeing my dad up on stage made me want to be, I wanted to be like that, and then when he passed away, I wanted to be a guitar player. I wanted to play music, wanted to play, just wanted to be a musician. I took that on as that was something my dad was going to pass down to me. I always remembered my dad was a musician, so as far as like, and then, so I didn't start playing until I was like 9 or 10. But before that, I started rocking the hell out on like tennis rackets, man. Me and my little sister growing up, my mom was a single mom at that point, and raising us on waitress tips. My mom was a server growing up, so we didn't have a whole lot of money, man, and so my sister and I had put on rock tunes and listening to like Nazareth and like anything my mom that was playing on the radio, and it was the 80s, listening to all those jams and just rock Guns N' Roses and all that shit, just jamming out, and finally got a guitar when I was like, my mom finally got me a guitar for my birthday one year, and that was it, dude. I played guitar on like one string for my first year, and then she finally got me hooked up into some lessons. But on those one strings, I learned how to play all kinds of tunes, and not correctly, but I got my hand to be able to start doing the thing, and making the hands work together. So got me in some lessons, and I started, I got a little older, started getting into middle school and high school, taking music theory and all that kind of stuff, and really just kind of honing it in. Again, I wanted to be a musician since I was a kid, since my dad was one. I always just wanted to play music. So started playing and was into like, I'm now in my 40s. So like the 90s, the late 90s, the Nirvanas, the Alice in Chains, the Pearl Jam, all that stuff was kind of what I was growing up with. The Black Album, Metallica. I literally got Nevermind, Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers, and the Black Album by Metallica all on one birthday because they came out that April all the same year. You know what I mean? I got all that, and jammed out to those records, and then again over time just kept listening, kept playing, kept learning more, learning different styles, different guitar players, techniques, and getting into different bands. That started hanging out with people that were musicians, and being a young high school kid with a sophomore in high school, but all my buddies are, in early 20s out of high school because they're all playing venues and shit. But I was that kid that was like 15, 16, like hanging with those dudes because those are the dudes that I wanted to play with.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play with these guys that were at school with me because they weren't ripping it like we were. You know what I mean? They were, so it's kind of my journey, man. And then, I started getting into bands in my 20s, and I played in this band out of Texas, San Antonio, for like 5 years. And then we became friends with the Bleed the Sky guys, the original lineup. And they were doing tours and stuff off the Paradigm and Entropy record, and came through Texas. And we started getting on all those dates and building relationships. And randomly one day I got a phone call at work from my ex-wife. And because this is before cell phones were a big thing, right? She's like, hey, when you get off work, when you get home today, I'm going to leave this number on the bar. You got to call this phone number because it's Noah from Bleed the Sky. They want you to come out to California and audition for the guitar player slot. And I'm like, what? So I did. I got home, and Noah had called our my singer who was in San Antonio, my old singer, and asked, if they could reach out to me and what that looked like. And, because we were all friends, we were already all homeboys, they just lived in California. We were in Texas, and I went out, I flew out to California, and that was it, man. We started writing Murder the Dance and all that stuff. And then, I ended up, my daughter at that time was like 4 years old. My son wasn't even born yet, but, my daughter was like 4, and that lifestyle and being out there and being gone that much really wasn't it was like timing, man. It was really timing, and she wasn't ready for dad to be gone like that. And I was like, okay, I got to make this work. I already left. I left home. I left Texas, quit my job, did everything, left my band, left my home, left my kid and my wife, like literally got in a van and drove to California to get this going. And, we wrote the record and everything. And then when it was time to get ready to go out and go out and do it, I ended up leaving the band as the guitarist. Cause I chose my kid over being selfish for myself at that point, so I left Bleed the Sky, and they went and toured and did a couple tours and this and that. And then the band kind of disbanded. And at that point, it's kind of where, Austin joined Chimaira and all that, well, then, little of the backstory to catch us up where we're at. I got another phone call randomly, and like, I guess it was like, my son's 9th birthday. So about 5-6 years ago. And, cause he's 15 now. So like 6 years ago, get a phone call, and, it was Noah again. And he's like, hey, we're going to start, maybe putting this thing back together. Would you consider playing bass? Cause Kevin Garcia, who's now our guitar player, and our producer, is playing guitar. And I was like, dude, like I miss playing. Like never really been a bass player, but yeah, let's do this shit. So did it, and we put together This Way Lies Madness, that record we released in 2020, and got to go out and do our run, and then COVID kind of shut us down. So from then it's been a lot of this remote writing and doing the thing, and it's kind of a process, but it is where we're at right now. And I mean, it all worked out for a reason, because at this point, like, the single's doing well, we've made all the right choices, we feel, and as far as getting our music to where we want it to be at this point.
Yeah. Geez, that's some story. And when it comes to concerts you've attended, we heard about Pantera being your first gig. What other concerts would you say have made you?
Freaking Korn. Seen Korn a few times. I mean, honestly, I saw Pantera like 5 times because I was hooked, man. Those guys just brought it every time, and Phil didn't give a damn, Machine Head, Chimaira concerts, freaking Kill Switch concert. I mean, if it was live music and it was metal, I was there, dude. You know what I mean? I don't miss shows. I still to this day, if it's around me, I'm going. I love live music. It's where it's at. I'd rather be playing live music than writing and recording in our little home studio. So that's how everybody does it these days. But yeah, man. Years and years of, I mean, there's 25 years of shows to go through if you really want to take that long.
Yeah. And as a concert goer, then what do you look for in a gig? What makes a good show for you?
That the band comes up and just delivers that live show. I'm not going to listen to the record. I want them to come on stage and give that energy, like a crowd. It's hard to tear yourself away from being a musician while you're at a concert. Like, you don't want to be that guy that's in the front row, like, show me what you got, bros. Like chest puffed out with your arms out. I go to shows and I want to be vibing with that band, like into it, having a great time like this, and remembering that, that's the reason I'm there, not because I want to critique this guy missed a wrong note or the drummer didn't come in on the right time or whatever. I don't give a shit about that. A live show is a lot different than listening to a record. You're going to hear the little things, and that's what makes it a live show, but as long as the band delivers and like gives me that, that live feel, I don't want to see a bunch of dudes standing there. I want to be a part of what made them feel the way to write the music. You know what I mean? That's the whole thing. Our music comes from our emotions. Our music comes from our things that happen in our lives. Like whether, you're sitting down writing a soft riff or you're riffing metal or whatever you're doing. Like there's a point where there's a reason that came out of that person. I want to feel that when I'm on stage from them. Deliver it. Make me feel that, give me that. I want to leave that show exhausted.
Yeah, I get you. And your own shows that you've played then, for any listeners that haven't caught one, what can they expect?
High intensity. I mean, we are a definite live band, I'm going to bang my head until it falls off, period, paragraph. I want people to leave drenched in sweat. I'm going to leave drenched in sweat. My voice hoarse every single night because I'm screaming it over, at the crowd, and I'm not getting on the microphone. I'm singing the lyrics with the fans, just leg up on the monitor, slamming, with those folks, because I want to deliver the same thing I would expect from a concert. And I feel that if somebody's paying the money to come and see me play, whether it be in a 1,000-person venue or a 200-person venue, I don't give a shit. I'm going to give them the same show every single time. I don't care if the show is packed with people or if there's 50 kids in the crowd because it was snowing in Illinois or whatever. You know what I mean? Yeah. Those people that paid to make that show and make that happen are the exact reason that we were able to go out and do that. So they're going to get it every single time, no matter what the case is. We're going to deliver it.
Brilliant. I love that. And is there a gig that sticks out in your mind that you like to revisit as maybe the perfect gig you've played?
Oh man, perfect gig. I don't think there's really such a thing as a perfect show, because I would always go back and critique things I've done, we did, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't believe that I've ever played a perfect show, but I can tell you that the coolest show I've ever played, and this is totally me being an old man and being a father, and the deal is we did our album release at the Whiskey A Go-Go in Hollywood, California, right? And my daughter, who's now old enough to live on her own, lives in Denver, Colorado, which is, thousands of miles from that place or whatever. But she got, and keep in mind, like back in the day when we were doing this to begin with, and like playing, I was in that other band in Texas and stuff. Like my daughter was tiny little kid, and she was helping me push my cabinets up on the stage, and wheeling carrying dad's cord bag, and you know what I mean? Like my kid grew up in that, dude. And so now that she's older and into music and all those things, and like but she likes a lot of the older stuff, like the Doors and a lot of those bands from those days, so to her, that place, the Whiskey A Go-Go, has this huge, it has a huge influence on all of that. And a lot of those bands from back then were that was a staple for all that. You know what I mean? If you come to California, you're on tour, you're playing the Whiskey. And so backstage at that venue, so anyways, long or the short, she got to fly out from Denver. She flew out, came out to LA while we were on tour, had literally 3 hours to see her dad, knew that she wasn't going to get more than that because we're there to load in, sound check, hang out through the show, play the show, and then we're gone. We got to get in the van and go. We're off to the next place, but she flew out, came out to California, and then I got to take her to the backstage of the Whiskey A Go-Go and see all like the main backstage area has all these signatures from all these bands from back in the day until now, just like all these autographs just all over this wall, and like she got to see a lot of those names and things that she grew up just like, holy shit, Dad, you know what I mean? Like that was probably if you want to talk about a perfect show, were we perfect that night? I'd like to say yes. I don't know. You know what I mean? I try to, we're not perfect. Nobody's perfect, bro. But for me, that was the perfect show because it was like literally getting to see the gleam in my kid's eye to see her dad playing this, just highly influenced venue, whether it be a venue that holds 500 to 1,000 people or whatever. It's still one of the biggest things that she's ever gotten to see me do. Not even venue size, but the history of that place. That's probably my perfect show, bro.
Jeez, I have to say now, I'm hugely jealous of her getting to go backstage and see all of them. The Whiskey is on the top of my bucket list for when I make it over to the States. I'd be like her. I'd like the Doors and all the older stuff as well as newer, heavier stuff. But I think it'll always just hold a special place for me,
Same. It did for me. Like literally, like getting to play there and even just walking in those doors. Let's say not even just getting to play, but just walk in there and like this place has so much history. The names and the people that have walked through those doors and played on that stage. You're just like, these guys. This place is just. It's launched so many acts and so had. You know what I mean? Just like you can't beat it as far as the history goes.
Yeah, exactly. Now I always say you have to have the good with the bad. So is there a gig from any gig you've ever played now since you start playing? Is there a gig that maybe didn't go so well and how did you overcome it?
Yeah, I played a show. Really, you deal with all kinds of people playing shows. I remember one show back in the day. This was like a Texas day. And Texas in the summertime is just it's just brutal, man. We played in like this venue that was it was a 2-floor venue, upstairs, downstairs. The main stage was upstairs, and but the venue's AC was out or something. It was like 110 degrees outside. So you could imagine what a packed room is upstairs. They got like fans blowing sprinkler shit all over everybody, and it was just a bad night for gear. The floors all slippery from all the wetness, and it's just like, technical issues, things like that. But that's probably the hardest gig, man. I've never really had a shitty, I haven't really left going, oh, this sucks, unless it's like a promoter that doesn't follow through and you're having to deal with, chasing some guy's ass down for your money because you got to get to the next town.
Yeah. And speaking of touring then, what kind of antics do you guys get up to when you're on tour?
We're actually, we're it's not even about our antics at this point because we're so like going out for us. It's like we have to make sure that it makes sense because we're all dads. We're all a little bit older, so getting shit faced every night isn't where we're at. I got to bang my head. Like I said earlier, I got to slam my head just as hard as I did the night before. And if I'm hungover, that ain't happening, dude. You know what I mean? No one wants to see me vomit. No one wants to see me pass out. So actually, while we're on tour, we're actually really just taking care of ourselves like we would at home, trying to get a decent amount of rest, and trying to just, take like exercise. Austin, our drummer, likes to bring this little it's this little board that has like different ways to do different kind of push-ups to hit you, you know what I mean? And all, seriously, just take the best care of ourselves, because when we're out there on the road, if we get sick, we still got a show the next night, and it's really just about really self-care and taking care of yourself while you're out there. I mean, 2 a.m. at a Waffle House, laughing at crazy ass people coming in from bar rushes. That's the highlight of our craziness, bro. You know what I mean? Getting breakfast in the middle of the night, driving us through some truck stop. There's not a whole lot of craziness that goes down for us, because we're not trying to go up on stage hungover the next day or feel like shit, or give ourselves any reason to not be able to promote or provide that show for that fan in the next town.
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose it doesn't make sense to be going wild and ruin it for yourselves.
Yeah, especially since we only get to go out for like a month at a time when we do go out, because we do have lives, we do have our jobs, we do have our commitments and things that we have our regular 9-to-5 life obligations that we have to handle. When I'm on tour, I'm on vacation from work. I'm cashing in vacation time while I'm going on tour, and same with the other guys. We all have our families and our lives. So none of us want to be away from home for 6 months or 9 months out of the year. It's just not about that, dude. I've got a 15-year-old kid to worry about at home, so.
And down through the years, you've shared the stage with some kind of legendary bands. What do you learn when you're playing with guys on that level?
Really, it's, one, the professionalism. 2, you can learn what not to do and what to do. And that goes back into how you carry yourself, when you're growing up and you're watching music videos and you see all the crazy Motley Crue shit and things like that. Dude, really? If some band we were on tour with was doing that shit nowadays, we'd be like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
You're not representing us. You're not representing the tour. You know what I mean? It's going into that, taking care of yourself, man. This was years ago, but Chad, from Mudvayne, I opened for Mudvayne years ago, and I was hanging out with Chad backstage, or behind the venue or whatever, and right outside of their bus and shit, and just rapping with him. And I was like, man, what are you doing on the road? What do you guys, same kind of questions you're asking me, because I was just a young kid, and he's like, dude, he's like, sanitizer, hand sanitizer, wash your hands, don't drink, take care of yourself. This, you know what I mean? I learned that shit at a young age, dude, because those guys were out there just doing it on the daily for, 10 months out of the year. You got to take from the people that do it, and really just, and again, going into that professionalism and coming out on stage and being your absolute best. I don't want to go watch my favorite bands shit faced and making mistakes. If they make a mistake, and it is what it is, but if they're out there loaded, I'm not about that, dude. You're wasting my money. You're wasting my time. I literally paid money to come and see you play. Whether I paid for it or not, I'm still in front of you, spending my time, which is my most valuable thing, to watch you play.
Yeah, exactly. Couldn't have put it better myself. And when it comes to your career, then how do you guys measure success?
As far as our career goes, man, really and honestly, truthfully, we play metal. So we're not about trying to be super huge rock stars or out there making an honest day's living off of playing music. It's just not in the cards. It's not what we're doing, and we're all, as far as our success goes, it's based off of how many people are coming to the shows, how many people are listening to the tune, how quick, of course we have metrics on how many plays we're getting on all the platforms and the YouTube video, and how many plays did the video get in, but we released it on the 21st or whatever. So the last 2 weeks or whatever it was, how many plays has it gotten, and of course you could do things like that and see those things. And we have, different reports and different ways to track that thing. But really, if it comes to success for the band, it's really about how many people are really listening to us and taking the music from us. Cause we're not trying to sell the music to you. We're giving it away. It's on the platforms. Just listen to it, rage, come to the shows and have some fun with us. That's where it's about. Success to us is when that kid is coming to the show, that's especially for a band that's been around as long as us, and comes out to a show and is like, dude, I've been listening to you guys since I was 16, and he's showing up with his his son, who's like 13. You know what I mean? He's like, and this kid knows the words to all the songs. You know what I mean? That's success for us, dude. It's not about driving Mercedes and driving Lamborghinis. I'll take my Mazda and I'll drive around where I need to and do my thing and be happy with my life and have my little, music room at my house. And if I could do those things while having a normal job and able to play music and still, you want to talk success, brother? I'm 43 years old and I'm still able to play metal and I'm able to do it like on the capacity that we are. That's success to me, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I'm able to still do this. I'm still able to put my ideas in music and the band, the same for all the guys. We're just blessed to be able to do it. And that's our success, man. It's not about being millionaires. It's about how many people can identify with that song or go, shit, when you guys played that breakdown, that just made me want to throw my head through a wall. Hell yeah, that's success for me.
Yeah, that's the most important kind. It's more valuable than monetary or fame and fortune and all that. As long as you're touching people like that and it means that much to you. And say in 30 or 40 years time, you're rocking out in the nursing home. When you look back, what do you want the band's legacy to be?
That we never stopped putting out banger after banger, and that we were true to ourselves and true to our fans and the music the whole time. Period. That's it. I don't want anything else. I just want people to know that, when they look back on anything that Believe the Sky's done, it was that we stuck to ourselves. We didn't change ourselves to sound a certain way because it was popular. We just did what we do, and we were always honest with ourselves about it.
Yeah. And before we dive into the last couple of questions, then, what are your future plans? Music, gigs, spill the beans.
As far as music goes, there's a lot of irons in the fire right now. We just did put out the Parasite, but we still have like 4 or 5 new tracks that we have that are skeletoned, and we're kind of like putting it all together with Monte right now. And we're going to be releasing some more tunes. As far as dates go, tour stuff goes, we have that in the works as well right now. I can't say anything for sure because I don't have it all in stone yet. But I can say that we are going to have, we are going to go out and do it, even though we've tried for the last few years. Like, again, COVID slowed us down, and then we had the lineup change and everything. But all of us are excited to go out and play. We're working with our agency now. We're having the meetings we need to and get ourselves up and rolling for that. So it's definitely got to be a thing. We just can't talk about tours too much yet.
Right. I see. Right. We'll dive into the last couple. So if you could see any performer from history in concert for one night only, who would it be?
Johnny Cash.
Really?
It'd be Johnny Cash, because I never got one. I mean, he's an old rocker, dude. Guy's got the roots. You know what I mean? The stuff it may not sound the same, but that dude, same with Elvis and all the other cats. You know what I mean? But Johnny Cash was just that outlaw guy. You know what I mean? As far as his music goes and what he represented. I mean, as far as that time and day and age, that dude was metal as fuck, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
true.
And I never got to see that. And I did get to see Pantera. I did get to see Sepultura. I did see Typo. I didn't get to see Alice in Chains with Lane Staley. I would have loved to have seen that. So I guess it would be Alice in Chains or Johnny Cash, because I'm thinking of dudes that have passed away that I couldn't see now, but that's definitely probably one, just because it would be awesome to get to experience that,
Yeah, it really would. And if you had to spend 24 hours locked in a room with any musician from history, who would it be?
It would have been Dimebag.
Really?
From Pantera, all day long. Yeah. Oh yeah, dude. Dimebag was a huge influence on me growing up, and the Pantera riffs and all that, and I grew up. I grew up in Texas. I grew up about 4 hours south of where all those guys were from. The Pantera guys, and we had that Texas pride, like it was Texas metal. You know what I mean? So, like, of course, I got to meet Dime. I got to meet Dime for like 2 minutes one time, because he was playing with Damage Plan with Vinny and that new band that they had after Pantera, right? And they were playing in San Antonio, and I got the opportunity to go backstage at this venue, and sure as shit, like, there was just Dimebag, and of course he's just hanging out because it's not like a meet and greet or something. It's just, I got to go backstage at this fucking amphitheater thing. Right. So I'm walking around and I'm seeing all these people, and there's Dime, and he's hanging out, just chilling at this like tent, like getting some grub. And I was just like, fuck it. If I don't go talk to this guy and just say hello, he'll never remember me. He doesn't need to know who the fuck I am, but I at least got to go shake the hand of the man that made me slam my head as hard as I did for so many great records, you know? So it would definitely be able to pick his brain for a little bit, even on just those little things he used to do with those guitars, man, and those squeals, and I can just bite into those riffs, you know? Definitely Dimebag for sure.
Completely understand. And the final one, so what song would appear on the soundtrack to your life?
Oh, soundtrack to my life. Don't Fear the Reaper, man. You know, at the end of the day, at the end of the day, we're born into whatever we're going to be dealt, and you know, and it's up to us to make the difference on how we're going to live our life on the day to day. So, you know, as silly as it is, like my hand tat, you probably can't see it too well, but it's a clock, right? It's like a watch, old school watch, and it's the time that I was born, to just remind me of that I'm never going to get that time back. So whenever anything I do in life, man, has got to be full throttle, and I got to be all in, because period. I'm not going to fear my death, but I'm also going to make sure that I go into the grave sliding into home base and not just walking my ass in like a turtle.
Yeah, I absolutely love that. Brilliant. Listen, David, it's been an absolute pleasure now. I've truly enjoyed chatting with you.
Thank you so much. It's been very nice hanging out with you.
Your last tears
Hey guys, I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review us on iTunes and Spotify. And if you're interested in signing up to Band Builder Academy, use the link in the show notes below and enter the code CONCERTS and you'll receive 10% off. So, until next time, keep rocking.
Hey, what are you guys still doing here? The show's over. It's over. You can go home. Go on. We'll see you next time. We'll be here.